Welcome to lesson 3 of the leadership course here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. I'm Professor Tefero, and for this particular lesson, we're going to examine the principles and definitions in the book for traits. Traits are the personality qualities that great leaders have shown in the history of the world uh, that make other people follow them, that make other people listen to them. Why do people follow great leaders? Because of their traits, among other things. Let's look at the traits of some of the people we will be analyzing for our teams. Alexander the Great. Um, why did people follow Alexander the Great? He was a young man. He was not much older than yourself as a college student. He must in his 20s. Um, so why did thousands of Greek soldiers follow this leader to the ends of the earth, literally? Um, One of the great things about Alexander the Great was that he was always fair and equitable with the enemies that he conquered. He gave them a chance to administer their own domains. Um, Once he was victorious in battle, he was merciful. He allowed them to have a certain amount of power to be retained by the people he defeated. And so he was able to move on with his armies and leave behind larger and larger pieces of his empire. His soldiers followed him because he won. His soldiers followed him because there is nothing quite as intoxicating as victory. If you keep winning, people will keep following you. Just look at the New York Yankees. So let's move on to Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is pretty much in the same category as Alexander the Great, except that he had to fight the Roman Senate. The Roman Senate was always looking to take away powers from Caesar, and Caesar was always looking to gain more power for the military. Um, Unfortunately for Caesar, this culminated in his assassination by the Senate. But before that assassination, he was able to almost double the size of the Roman Empire. Let's look at some of the reasons that some of his followers followed him. He was fearless, obviously. Um, he showed great um, concern for the welfare of his men. He only gave them the best food and the best weapons and the best living conditions. He had a very loyal following. Um, Moving on to Hammurabi. Why did people respect Hammurabi in the ancient empires of the Tigris and Euphrates valleys? Hammurabi was a man who created a code of laws that treated people equally. If somebody stole from you, they had to give you compensation for what they stole. If somebody hurt somebody in your family, they had to give you compensation for that. Um, Basically, Hammurabi was a very fair and just man, and people admired his fairness, and that's why they followed him, among other things. That was probably one of his strongest traits. Gandhi. Why did people follow Gandhi? People followed Gandhi because he was able to resist the British Empire without using violence. Until this point in time, there were very few leaders of the world who did not try to use violence as a method of gaining or regaining power in a country or area of the world. Maybe Jesus Christ and Buddha, um, and maybe one or two others might have put the principle of nonviolence as the most important aspect of conquering their enemy. Sometimes nonviolence doesn't work, and sometimes it does. In this case, Gandhi was successful, so we will follow Gandhi and how millions of people responded to his personality traits. We're going to look at Joan of Arc, um, who was basically a village maiden who rose to a military leader of a major country. How was she able to do that? We're going to analyze that. Martin Luther King. How was Martin Luther King able to galvanize the black community and able to advance the civil rights movement in the United States? We're going to look at Confucius, and we're going to find out how was Confucius able to instill a sense of ethics among the royalty of China, among the emperors and the emperor's court. How was he able to give the royalty of China a conscience? Um, we're going to look at Lao Tzu, and in Lao Tzu, we're going to find out why sometimes Confucianism didn't work. Confucianism was not humanitarian enough for Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu thought there was a deeper meaning to life than Confucianism, and he had millions of followers because Lao Tzu was a compassionate person, and he was attractive to many millions of Chinese. We're going to look at George Washington and how his military actions um, um, were able to inspire Americans to begin the political process in the United States in the 1780s. We're going to look at Lech Walesa and how he miraculously was able to break away from the Soviet Union. How did he do it? And why did millions of people follow him? Um, he had great personality traits such as a iron will. Um, he had great ethics. He had great understanding of human suffering. Let's examine Churchill. Churchill rallied the English people during World War II, um, while Britain was getting pounded by German air warfare, and it appeared as if England would fall any day. But Churchill was able to rally the English people with his bulldog mentality of never giving an inch, never giving up, stubbornness. Now, sometimes stubbornness is not a good trait to have, but at other times, stubbornness can be a valuable trait. Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt was able to take the United States from the Depression into a relative improvement of prosperity in the United States before World War II. How did he do that? And how did he get people to follow him? Well, he was able to create jobs, and he knew that creating jobs for people gave them a sense of worth and a sense of purpose. And so he was able to tap into the great emotional void left by the Depression of 1929. We're going to look at Vladimir Putin. How was Vladimir Putin able to raise Russia from the shambles of the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1990 when they lost a third of their territory? How was Vladimir Putin able to reestablish Russia as one of the leading countries in the world, both economically and militarily? Why did people follow him? Um, well, Vladimir Putin also has a great iron will. He has a good understanding of how business works. He has a good understanding of how military practices should be utilized, and he's able to mix all of his traits into a successful formula for Russia. We're going to look at Abraham Lincoln. and the effect of freeing the slaves in America and the first step towards the civil rights movement. We're going to examine Queen Elizabeth. And Queen Elizabeth is one of the great leaders of UK. Why was she so popular within her country? Um, she was firm and would not back down from any challenge. There wasn't one challenge that she was afraid to face. Muhammad. How was Muhammad able to galvanize the Arab peoples into a religious war that was successful, and not only successful within Saudi Arabia, but far outside Saudi Arabia, able to spread Islam throughout various parts of the world? How was he able to do that? The team that gets Muhammad will be able to analyze those traits. Um, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is obviously a very good example of personality traits that were successful enough to create a religion with millions and millions of followers. How was he able to get people to follow him? He has many examples of his behavior in the New Testament and the Bible. Um, what are these stories? Why are these stories important in trying to figure out some of the traits of Jesus Christ? Moses. Moses is one of the greatest leaders of peoples of all time. He was also responsible for the Ten Commandments, which is very important from the not only the moral standpoint of the world, but the legal standpoint of the world. So the traits of Moses were to follow the rules, so to speak, and you will be rewarded. Um, then we have Buddha, and Buddha had tremendous influence on India and places outside of India throughout Asia. Buddha was able to tell us that if you contemplate what you are doing, if you contemplate the world and the people you are associating with, you will be more successful in your relationships and in your life. Deng Xiaoping. Uh, how was Deng Xiaoping able to overcome the stern policies of communism and socialism in China and to initiate a very capitalist program in 1978? We're going to examine Bill Gates. What personality traits did Bill Gates have that allowed him to create Microsoft? Um, he was given an opportunity to sell his his entire idea to IBM, and IBM turned him down, which basically tells you how smart IBM was. Um, in any event, what personality traits did Bill Gates have to allow him to create these things in his garage with the assistance of a few other people? Um, Obviously, he had a great deal of determination. He had a great deal of belief in his own abilities. And we all need to do the same thing as Bill Gates when it comes to believing in ourselves. Um, we have Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs believed in innovation. Innovation is very important for um, people to be creating new things all the time. You just don't want to have what you have now. You want to have something in the future that is better than what you have now. And so we're going to look at Steve Jobs' personality traits, some of which were not good and some of which were good. And we're going to look at Jack Ma and how his determination and hard work led to the expansion of Alibaba and the respect of the international monetary community. What personality traits did he practice that led to his emergence? So these are the people that you're going to look at for your teams. Um, I wish you all good luck for your team projects. And I look forward to your PowerPoint presentations and videos. This is Professor Tefero signing off until next time. See you and take care. Bye bye.